Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Everything Entrepreneurship. I'm John Boitnott. This is my podcast where I talk to entrepreneurs from all over the world about the companies that they are running or the company that they're running and what they're doing to help the world and how their life is and the challenges they are dealing with. And, the hope is that entrepreneurs out there can get some good information that will help them too. And today I'm joined by Janet Shreeve in the UK. Hi, Janet.
Hi, John. Lovely to meet you, and thank you for having me on with you.
You got it. Yeah, you run a care advisory business. Are
I,
you in the Are you in the Swindon area in UK? Where are you in the
I,
UK?
well, yeah, I'm in Wiltshire. Yes, I'm not actually in Swindon. I'm in Devizes, which is slightly about half an hour away from Swindon. But yeah, I'm in that area, and I love doing what I do.
Yeah, whenever anyone talks to someone from the UK, I always wonder in my mind, okay, how far away is it from London or one of the bigger cities? It's just like 2 or 3 hours away from London, right to the north, is
Yeah,
it?
but yeah, in fact, it's slightly nearer. I used to be in Bristol, but now it's probably about an hour and 20 minutes, something like that, from London. So quite close by,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
really nice. You can get there quite easily, which is great. So I enjoyed that.
Now you run a care advisory
I
business.
do.
I have an idea of what that might be, but tell us all about what that is, and also tell us about you and your background. I know you
Okay.
were an
All
Italian
right.
teacher. Just
I
tell us about yourself.
was. I was. My degree is in Italian. I studied quite a lot of time in Italy. I was at the University of Manchester. And I spent quite a bit of time in Italy actually over the last, crikey, however many years, quite a lot of them. And I do still try and get over to Italy as much as I possibly can. In fact, one of the other areas we're hoping to do at some point is to organise retreats in Italy, but that's another part of
Ooh,
the business that could be coming up
yeah,
later this year.
beautiful.
So more
Yeah.
info when it comes out. Basically, I started in care probably about 15, 16 years ago, more by accident than anything else, as I think a lot of these things do happen by accident because you don't necessarily plan to do them. And I started to work with a live-in care company, and I had never heard of this. And it's basically obviously where the carer lives with the client, and probably the most personalised service you will ever have if you need care.
Mm.
And having moved to Bristol and various other things that happened, I decided that I was probably, we'd sold a business and one thing and another. I decided really, I've always wanted to set up a care business whereby I give advice to people with
Mm.
care. And because when you're in the situation that you need care for your loved one, husband, wife, mother, father, whoever it might be, you have no idea what your choices are. And it's so important to get that right choice and see what's out there because, realistically, you can be told one thing which might be the easiest way of getting someone out of hospital, for argument's sake, but might not be the right care for that person.
Mm.
And I just feel that the lack of support, advice, information, and finance information as much as care is just not always out there. So that's really why I set up my advisory service. And it has gone from strength to strength. But I never thought I'd be starting it 2.5 years ago when I was 65.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about that journey. So you started this business when you were, 65 years old. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced in doing that?
Oh, crikey. Well, the biggest challenge is really being female, unfortunately, or fortunate, whichever way one likes to look at it.
Yeah.
Female, older, and divorced. The three things combined
Mm.
make it quite a challenge. You're I won't say you're not viewed as a person because that's wrong, but it's a
Yeah.
double whammy. You are trying to actually get people to understand that just because you are of a certain age doesn't mean to say that you need to sort of, disappear into the distance. So I've had quite a few challenges along the way. But equally, I've had a heck of a lot of support along the way, including my
Oh,
family, who have been amazing. And of course, people, Fiona Scott, who does my PR, has been fabulous, along with her company and a lot of other people. So, as much as there's been challenges, I have really learnt so much from the people I've worked with as well along the way. And that's what's important.
What are some of the biggest? What are some of those challenges? I mean, people did they when they saw you and they saw you? How did those challenges manifest?
I
What
guess
exactly? Yeah.
they came about because
And feel free to tell us about bad experiences, anything like it's going to be helpful for the entrepreneurs out there listening.
I think it's because you're of a certain age and you get your pension or whatever it is you get, and it's assumed that at that point you're going to be the gran at home. I'm very lucky. I've got 6 grandchildren and I love them all to
Mm,
bits. And I see my daughters, I see my grandchildren, but it doesn't mean to say my life has to revolve around that. That is my choice.
yeah,
Obviously I appreciate a lot of people happy to do that. I wanted to do more, because the more you care is, this sounds a really strange analogy, care is a little bit like a drug. When you get into it, you just want to help people more and more. You want to give that advice, you want to give them choices. And I mean, for example, I have a client at the moment that I've been working with for 6 months. They're not elderly. He and his wife are in their late 40s. Wife has had a brain aneurysm. And he has really struggled to find what he's entitled to financially,
mm,
how he can get the right support for his wife, all of these sort of things, and the right housing for her, because obviously she can't get upstairs. So things like that. It's been a real battle.
yeah.
And that's just one client I've got. And then I was actually talking to somebody at the weekend about her husband who has got cancer, and the challenges that they're facing. And if I can help them, even just a tiny bit, to find the right care and the right support for what is the hideous time, let's be honest, it's a horrible time for anybody. And
Yeah.
just having sometimes somebody to talk to about it is all you need. But it has been really interesting, and I absolutely love it. And
Yeah.
when you get somebody who says, yeah, you have found the right care for us, we're really pleased with it, then I feel as if I've done my job.
I imagine that technology has been an issue for you as you get a little older and you start a company. What are some of the technology issues that you faced, and how did you overcome those tech issues?
Well, the technology is always, because obviously it's always evolving. I am not a
Yeah.
techie person, I'll put my hand on my heart, but I am involved with a group of people at the moment around, we are developing, and it's probably the easiest way to say is it's sort of a bit like Uber for care. So that if
Mm.
somebody requires care, the carers can be on the app, the clients can be on the app, and it can happen quickly so that they can find what they want really quickly and be way more cost effective as well. But we're
So
working
this
on that, and that'll be launching later this year.
okay. So this is the app Uber for Care.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that app then. What how does that work?
Well, basically, a couple of years ago, I met some people completely by accident working in a care, in again, obviously in the care sector, and Richard had developed this app, which I mean, he is very techie, and he's sort of doing all the explanation, and his wife and I are sort of going, yeah, as you do, and anyway, I was contacted by. A chamber of commerce, a local chamber of commerce, to see if I knew of anybody who would be interested in developing an app for care. And
Hmm.
really, the rest is history, because we all got together. It's really been a year of getting the app to work, trialing, making sure it works, and now we're at the process of we need to get it out there to the general public. But the interesting thing about this is it cuts out the agency cost massively. So it's much more cost effective for anybody looking for care, so care homes, whatever it might be. Equally, it can be, when it is launched, it can be for anything. It doesn't just have to be for care, and it can be worldwide. It doesn't matter.
So, what does the app do? It lets a person sign up, and then the person is able to get someone to come
Yeah.
and help them with care.
So let's say, for example, I'm a care home, and somebody cancels a shift, they're ill or something this
Oh,
evening, so they can no longer do that shift. So the carers are on the app. They've obviously, they're compliant. It's not like they're just anybody. We know that they've got all the right qualifications and the references and all of that. They have to do it properly on the app. So then they put this shift out for this evening. any carer who is near to that can then pick it up. So it
Ah,
saves a lot of agency time, a lot of phone calls, and obviously makes it much more cost effective for the care home or whoever it is that's looking for staff. It could work for anything, as I said. It could work for construction. It could work for
yeah,
hospitality. So
yeah.
it's
Oh,
interesting
great.
times.
Yeah, yeah, very much. So as as you do something that's completely brand new that you haven't had a chance to do before in the last couple of years, I'm sure it's, been very important for you to, learn and develop new skills and new information. How has it been for you to, how has networking been, for instance? Have you
Oh,
been able to meet a lot of people who have been helpful
I
in,
think I don't think people realise the importance of networking. I really don't. In the past, we set up a living care agency about 10 years ago, and it was a small agency, and we actually decided to build it by networking, by getting to know people. So I've always networked a lot because you never know who you're going to meet. I never go in expecting to meet, to get a client, because ultimately, but it might be somebody who knows somebody. That's how it would work for me. But getting to know people and using networks, and of course now we've got so many online networks as much as we do in person. I just absolutely love it. I think it's the lifeblood of any business, to be honest with you.
yeah. Have you been able to, the people that you met at networking events, have they helped you create this app? Or-
Yes, yeah, exactly. Well, the people who've actually put it together came because of a networking event I did probably about 18 months ago. So, yes, all of this has come from, it's like everything, it's who you know, isn't it? It's who you meet along the way, and how responsive you are to them. But I think it's not just me talking about what I do, it's also me being interested in what they do as well, because that it's a two-way thing.
Yeah. Have you been able to help out anyone else with their companies or
Oh
their
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I think, I can think of many people along the way that I have recommended that they contact somebody. For example, a friend of mine, I sort of recommended a firm of solicitors that I met when I was networking. I would recommend anybody who uses the same PR company that I do, because she's been so amazing with what I do. In fact, I'm meeting someone tomorrow that I've actually recommended Fiona to, and in fact, she's working with her as well. So it's all about who you know, because you trust them, because you've got
Yeah.
to know them, and you've spent that time doing so.
In terms of the challenges that you faced in setting up your business at an older age, when you talk to people, did they look at you sort of askance and not trust you at first until they got to know you? What was that process like?
I find actually, if anything, it's the other way around. I think
Oh, really?
um, being perhaps of the older generation, we're used to talking to people. And
Yeah.
if anything, my challenge has always been more around getting to know social media, because it's not what I've grown up with.
Mm.
My kids or whatever, they're texting, whatever they do. Whereas we are, I'll pick up a phone, I'll have a phone call with somebody. It's much nicer. So I've never had that problem in talking to people. I think it's often the other way around, that people are a bit nervous of talking to you and a bit nervous of actually saying what they do out loud.
Yeah, okay, got it. So it's like a cultural difference from the folks who
Yeah.
are of the younger generation. I'm Generation X. So Generation X is the sort of the sons and daughters of the boomers. So we carry with us a lot of where the boomers were. I enjoy the phone. I always prefer the phone.
Mm.
Prefer voice messages.
Yeah.
The texting just leaves inherently, it'll never feel all that safe to me. It'll always feel like it's too easy for the other person to mistake the context of what I'm saying or mistake the intention of what I'm saying. So for me, I just enjoy speaking in person. And that's one of the reasons why I like doing a podcast like
I
this. What are
agree.
your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Well, I have a podcast as well. I do You
Oh,
Care. I started it about a year and a half ago. I have a podcast called You Care, I Care, where I talk to different people with different aspects of the care sector, and it can be people who've actually going through using care, or it can be care provider, all different sorts of people, and it's really really interesting. But the other thing I think about talking as opposed to texting or writing something it's how if somebody writes something, you do not know what context they've written it in or
Yes.
how they've written a phrase. Whereas if you talk to them, it's totally different. Your emphasis is how you want that to come over. And I have found it really fascinating doing the podcasts, because even this, I was doing some recording actually last week, and I probably knew 4 out of the 6 people I recorded with pretty well, but I found out something completely different about all of them that I didn't know before I did that podcast. And that's
Yeah.
a bit, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Well, is there anything about the care agency, Janet, that you run? Is there anything that you feel like you haven't had a chance to mention that you would want to get out there?
No, other than my care agency is called Shreeve Care Services, and I have a website which is www.shrevecareservices.co.uk, and anybody can email me at janet.shreeve@shrevecareservices.co.uk. And I think one of these days I might be having to have you on my podcast to talk about what you do, so I can turn the tables.
I would love that. That would be great. Please
I
have
would
me on.
be absolutely delighted to do that, because I think that's how you discover so much more about people.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, it's been lovely to have you on the show. I was going to ask you, how can people get a hold of you? So there's your email and there's your website. What's
Yep.
your favorite? I know you're not into social media, but have you developed like a favorite social media at all or not?
Yeah, I guess I can cope with most of it. I mean, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I can cope with
The
any of them.
usual.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not into some of the more. Everybody says, "Oh, have you heard of this?" And I think,
No, you don't need to you don't need to
no,
surf
I
all
can't
the
do it
new
all.
waves. Yeah. Well, Janet, it's been lovely to have you on Everything Entrepreneurship. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and John, thank you so much for inviting me.
Great to have you.
Thank you.